Alright, people, listen up. Now that we know Disney's Wild Zoo Animal thing is a success, it's time we take a look at our new Islands of Adventure Park. Now, we're going to do all the detailed world immersion thing Disney does. We got Jurassic Park, we got Marvel, we got Dr. Seuss, Jay Ward, but we need a new ride in the Lost Continent area. I need ideas, people, and I need them right now.
Greek mythology!
What's that, Larry?
Greek mythology, sir! My kids liked the Hercules movie last year, and what if we do something based on that?
Oh, I like it. We can get those stuffy, intellectual, nerdy types in that way. What else we got? What do the people like?
Walking, laddie! Have you ever seen a Florida tourist who only does a wee bit of walking? Nah, they're doing nothing but. They must love walking.
Ah, makes sense to me. Anyone else? I may just be a humble good old boy, but I reckon them city folks patronizing the parks is always fixing to be standing round in groups like a herd of cattle. I don't understand it myself, but if they do it in standing in lines or watching parades or getting food, they gotta love all that moseying like a Texas cattle drive. I agree with that logic. What else?
Special effects, senor. My cousin Alejandro said he can get some Disney quality special effects for $150, just like the ones they use in Fantasmic.
Excellent. I like a man who's budget conscious. Well, that's it for today's meeting. I'll tie all these elements together in the next 5 minutes on my way to the meeting where I pitch this to the board. You really think that's how they conceived Poseidon's Fury?
Yeah, something along those lines.
I'm pretty sure it involved a lot more thought, time, and dedication. Psst, recording. Dude, recording.
Oh! Hi, everyone. I'm Tap G.
And I'm Surfer Glock.
And we're What's the Attraction? Well, our work is your vacation.
Let's talk a little bit about a place called Lost Continent. Years ago, when Disney's Animal Kingdom was well under construction, there were plans to construct a land dedicated to creatures of myth. Ever wondered why there was a unicorn parking lot or a dragon in the Animal Kingdom logo? Because Animal Kingdom was to be dedicated to the animals that are, the ones that were, the dinosaurs, and the ones that never were. Enter plans for the Beastly Kingdom.
Plans were drafted, concept art was drawn, and before long, some really cool ideas had taken shape to be placed in the lot west of Safari Village, today's Discovery Island. So what happened? Michael Eisner happened. Similar to California Adventure, Disney MGM Studios, and Paris's Walt Disney Studios Park, Eisner didn't care if there weren't a lot of things to do. It just had to have the Disney name on it and look interesting. So whether out of legitimate budget concerns or, nobody's gonna notice, or care, for that matter, the Beastly Kingdom was bumped back to the ambiguously filed Phase 2, to be completed in 20 cough cough cough.
The Imagineers who developed Beastly Kingdom eventually left Disney for greener pastures. Who should pick these dejected souls up in their state of depression but Universal, offering to build their neglected park area. Along with the rest of the park in 1999, Lost Continent opened with rides like the Flying Unicorn, Dueling Dragons, Poseidon's Fury, and the Eighth Voyage of Sinbad. Sort of like Adventureland from Magic Kingdom, but on steroids.
In 2007, half of Lost Continent shuttered in favor of Wizarding World of Harry Potter, with both Flying Unicorn and Dueling Dragons getting re-themed to Flight of the Hippogriff and Dragon Challenge respectively, and the former Imagineers who once had their vision denied by Disney and heroically resuscitated by Universal are now watching it be eaten alive by the boy who lived and just won't die!
Further heralding the exotic was an attraction known as Poseidon's Fury, showcasing the awesome might of the ancient Greek deities. Your tour guide would lead you into the caverns of the lost city of Atlantis, where Poseidon would reveal it to be a trap.
It's a trap!
But it's revealed that the tour guide is really Zeus in human guise, and the climax was essentially the biggest, noisiest, most destructive bout of sibling rivalry ever. This version had its fans, but after about 5 years, Universal polled guests to seek improvements. The result is the attraction we see today, starting in 2002.
You still enter the Temple of Poseidon, which frankly looks pretty impressive. You half expect Philoctetes to come out and start busting your chops for not sticking to your diet. Oh yeah, we know. Don't pretend you didn't sneak that Twinkie, we so saw you.
When you get into the temple, you are met by Taylor, your archaeological tour guide, who explains that Professor Baxter, his superior, is missing in action. He hastily explains that the professor was studying the ruins and learning about the good and just god of the sea, Poseidon, and his mortal enemy, Darkanon. Tap G, can you get out my reference book on Greek mythology? Can you do me a solid and look up Darkanon?
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, Anyway, Taylor reads an incantation on the wall, which awakens Darkanon and forces Taylor and your group to shuffle into another room. And here's where things start to get confusing. Speaking of which, how you coming along on that book tap, G?
Well, either Darkanon is the god of non-existence, or Mount Olympus stinks at record keeping, or he's a figment of the show writer's imagination.
Yeah, thought so. I guess having Hades as a bad guy would have been too cliche.
Especially since Hades was known for being one of the chillest, least temperamental gods in the realms of Greek mythology, it says here.
Anyway, Darkanon is after Poseidon's legendary trident, and he suspects Taylor knows where it is, and tries to use the travel group as hostages. In a panicked, desperate bid to get us out, Taylor grabs a nearby pole to pry the stone door open. And wouldn't you know it, it's the trident! Of course, this only angers Darkanon, but, I don't know, Athena or Aphrodite or somebody, grants him and the guests access to a third room through...
Probably the coolest water vortex tunnel in existence. Seriously, ask anybody. If that water vortex wasn't there, the whole experience would have been a total waste of time.
You enter a third room, a cavernous arena of sorts, where Darkanon has had enough. In a fit of rage, he tries to strike down Taylor. But I wonder who comes to the rescue.
Is it Aquaman? SpongeBob SquarePants? Nemo? Or Davy Jones? Vote now. Okay, and the winner is... Okay, who wrote Shamu?
Stop making it so fun to mess with you and I'll stop.
Reese, quit trolling our podcast!
Well, as if you couldn't tell, Poseidon swoops in, grabs his trident, and a battle ensues. It's less of an ancient epic showdown of immortals and more...
More like a high school production of Avatar: The Last Airbender, waterbenders versus firebenders. Actually, I'd rather watch that. Universal Creative, can we make that happen? I mean, you got the rights to Nickelodeon, and could you...
Okay, that's enough. We have to rate and discuss the attraction we have now.
Okay, first things first. As an attraction, what are the good things about it besides the water vortex?
But I was just about to say the water vortex.
I was about to say Taylor.
Well, I guess we're both kind of right. Well, the set pieces are inspired.
The set pieces are good. It's a lot like Legend of Jack Sparrow, not just in terms of execution, but the sets, if nothing else, are really, really impressive. Someone took time on those things. The person who plays Taylor, if you get a good Taylor, that can make the attraction or break it. And yes, that water vortex is still pretty awesome. But nothing you can't get off of YouTube.
Yeah, but I mean, if you take all this away and you look at it just as an attraction itself, I have to say, this isn't very good.
No, it really isn't.
Well, why don't we start with the story?
We don't even really know what the story is. I don't know if that's muffled dialogue. I don't know if it's the Taylor not explaining it well enough. Something's missing here.
The guide map does a good job of explaining what's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
But, like, the story itself, I mean, there's a little bit of narration, and if you get a Taylor who knows what he's doing, yeah, you might get a little bit of explanation. But, just the overall story itself and why you're there and why he's there, it's just not clear.
We as theme park guests don't need to be spoon-fed everything, but we do need something that can be clearly identified and spelled out for us so the average theme park guest can figure it out. We have notoriously short attention spans. It's not our fault, it's just we're on vacation.
This isn't terribly complicated, but I mean, it's still... I think it's just enough to where it's too much.
Yeah.
You can't go in with the... And honestly, we don't have anything to really base this off of other than the Greek mythos.
Which even then, like we said... Darkanon is not a Greek deity.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have to say, that's probably one of the single worst villain names I have ever come upon in my life.
At least it's not Darkheart from Care Bears.
Well, yeah.
It sounds like a Pokemon name.
It actually kind of does. If this were a female, I would call her antagonist.
It just seems like such a step backwards. You could have made any Greek deity, especially since Greek mythology was known for having temperamental gods with hissy fits.
And just think of how cool it would have been to anger Kronos and have the world stop around you or something.
Right. I mean, how many Greek gods are there? There's so many to them. Anything could have happened, and they chose to make one up. This isn't like... the SeaWorld Shamu game where, okay, this is part of mythology, let's make an enemy out of that because we don't want to vilify anything. You could actually do something with this.
True that. And honestly, even after all that, when you come to, when you come to why you're here, it is called Poseidon's Fury. You get to see Poseidon's Fury play out on screens.
Yeah.
What is up with that? I mean, and I know Universal has this weird thing about putting everything on screens, and one of the most frequently discussed things on most of the fan forums are Universal uses too many screens. Universal uses too many screens. But I mean, in most other attractions, most anything built after this, the screen use is justified, and they honestly they're doing new things with it. I mean, even when the new Kong thing opens up, I think that's supposed to have some screens to it, but it's gonna blow your mind.
Here, there's just like some splashes, some bursts of fire, and that's really, really it. It is so underwhelming. And when all's said and done, what have we learned? What are we walking out into the gift shop with? Are we all the richer for the experience?
Oh yes, the climax. It's one big bottle of nothing. Professor Baxter finds Taylor, and you hear the two of them reunite. It's literally off screen.
I mean, compare that to like Legend of Jack Sparrow, where he at least says you're all pirates and that's it, or Stitch's Great Escape, where you let the prisoner go. Well, get out of here. This feels even emptier.
I mean, you're literally your involvement is taken straight out.
At least with Jack Sparrow and Stitch, you're already hooked in by characters that you know and are established. Here, you're going as a blank slate. Even if you know these Greek mythologies, you go in with an expectation that they're going to tailor to their own image. And what ends up happening? Nothing. You feel nothing. Unless, of course, like I said, you end up getting a good tailor.
Yeah, and honestly, even outside of that, Taylor, to me, is just not a compelling character. He wasn't written very well. We're not made to care about him, so who cares if he succeeds?
He's a stereotype. He's a lot like that guy from the Progressive Flow commercials. The sprinkles are for winners. I forget.
Oh yeah, that guy. Nobody knows his name because nobody cares about him.
He's just kind of a weak, wimpy, wannabe, way too much energy kind of guy. He's very much a stereotype in that way. For me, the biggest crime out of all of this is it doesn't distract you from the things that you should. Like, you watch a TV show or a movie, you're supposed to be so blown away by what you're watching that you forget you're sitting in a chair. Or you ride a roller coaster that you forget that you're not moving very fast or something. You're expected to be entertained. You're supposed to be distracted. This does none of that by penning you up in these claustrophobic rooms crowded with so many other people, shuffling from one room to another.
And you're standing up.
You're standing up the entire time, and this cannot be comfortable for service dogs, people in wheelchairs, and people who just can't walk very fast.
Yeah, so this attraction, much like Icarus, flew way too close to the sun and got burned by everything that came after. You were a good attraction once, maybe, and it's just nothing now. Other than the water vortex, this attraction has little to no value to me. And it's because of that I'm going to go ahead and give this a 1 out of 5.
This is one of the worst attractions I've been to, and I don't think it was anyone's fault. I think it was just a misguided attempt to try to make something really good, and it just fell totally botched in the execution. I have to give this a 1 out of 5 as well.
Alright, so that's a 1 out of 5 from Tap G, and a 1 out of 5 from Surfer Clock.
It should be noted that there aren't many of the typical rider restrictions here since it's a walking tour and not a ride. There's no height requirement or anything like that, but be warned it does take place in dark, tight caverns full of people. Plus, anyone wary around fire effects should probably steer clear.
Although it should be noted, children under 48 inches or 121 centimeters still have to be supervised by an adult. If anyone is sensitive to fog or strobe effects, best sit this one out. Wheelchairs, scooters, and service animals are all welcome, and listening devices are also available.
Unlike most all other Universal rides, most everyone can participate.
But does that mean we can recommend it?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say no.
Same here.
It has some cool ideas worth exploring, but it executes them in such a boring fashion. And like we said earlier, it's killer they have you walk through it after being out in the park and not have you entertained enough to be distracted.
It remains to be seen if Poseidon's Fury will stay much longer in light of the ever-expanding Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So, At least see it before it goes away forever.
Forever.
Like the rest of Disney's Hollywood studios.
A bazinga.
So until next time, I'm Surfer Clock.
And I'm Dorkanon.
And we're What's the Attraction?
You mock me, mortal!
Oh, Smoo.